Hey guys, just wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction to programming, something that I use for programming at the Armory. I have for a long time. I'm going to show you guys something today that I learned in my personal training course. I'm in almost 15 years ago now, but it also a guy who kind of popularized it that I know of is Paul Chek. Where I got this from. But now there's lots of different people that use this type of idea. And I'm just here to share it with you as I think it makes a lot of sense. And it gives you something to work with if you're doing your own workouts. If it's like, oh man, what am I doing? This works very, very well for us in here and something that I kind of funnel all the programming through. So, the big 6 moves, the big 6 movement patterns. When I do programming, I'm not thinking like, man, what is like the funkiest, swankiest, coolest thing that, no one's ever done before that, I could bring in because I'm sure that's just gonna, get people the next level results and everything. That's not really what it's about. We know what works in strength training. We've known for a long time. And I'm a big fan of not reinventing the wheel, going with what works. And yes, there needs to be a little bit of variety so people don't get bored. Not everybody loves it. Like maybe a fitness professional who's just one of their favorite things in the world and they never get bored. So I understand that. But what you want to do, just to give you a little information, is there's a bunch of different ways to split how you do your workouts throughout a week. I'm gonna talk about that in future videos. Right now, I just want to tell you about the big 6 movement patterns that you should include in your program, so long as you are able to do them without pain. And I'll talk about that a bit right now. So the first one is the squat. There should be some sort of squat in your program, doing it at least once a week. A squat is here. It looks very simple. I will say most people, when they join this facility, and now they're having coaching done by myself or Joanne, most people don't know how to squat properly. And I'm not saying this to put people down. I'm saying most people watching tend to think I can squat. And another one I'll get to is most people think, I can do push-ups. I bang out push-ups. In high school or karate or whatever it was, I did a ton of push-ups. And then they come in here and they're not actually able to do them properly. So I'll also talk about form in future videos to try and help you out there as well. But the squat is number 1. Number 2 is the hinge. It's the craziest thing. This is probably the hardest movement pattern in my experience of coaching for people to learn how to perform it properly and learn how to effectively hinge and do it right. And the best I can figure is, in this day and age, we spend so much time hunching, which I'm sure you're aware of, right? You're driving, you're on your phone, you're watching, you're writing, we're like this, right? Also, I find anytime someone bends over when they haven't made a habit of strength training in their life, they instantly want to do it with their low back. They kind of lazily go down and do it like that. And so anytime they hinge, they tend to start, they're like, ooh, low back, I'm getting something. It's not good there. And it's just generally that they don't know how to recruit the hamstrings and the glutes, which are the prime movers of a hinge movement. So one of my favorite ones that we program all the time in here is RDL, a Romanian deadlift, right? RDL for short. And there's lots to do. You can use dumbbells, barbell, lots of stuff, single leg, double leg. We'll talk about all that in future videos. But the idea is your feet are hip width apart, straight forward, shoulders are back, chin is tucked. All we got to do, let's pretend, I like using a barbell, a light one at first, so people have a guide. They're just trying to stick their butt back and get that bar to come below their knees. This is all hamstrings right now. I've got a history of low back problems. No low back on this because I found the hamstrings. And then it's about getting those hips forward. Bang. Alrighty, one more for you. Down you go. Up you go. Right? So I'll obviously dive more into the hinge as we go, but that's probably one of my favorite hinge moves that you're going to see all the time in here. The members love their RDLs when they come to the Armory. One of the best moves there is, right? But there are different ways to hinge, right? I'm just giving some examples here. So the next one is the lunge. This is probably the one that for new members, they struggle not so much in how to do them right, but just being able to do them at all, because it's quite a challenging movement pattern. Also, if someone has knee problems or something, this one can be a problem. And if that's you, by the way, I'm not saying you absolutely have to do these, especially if you're like, man, these are killing my knees. The first thing we would do in here is we would make a change. We would build up other muscles and see if you could come back to the lunge down the road if someone was getting intense pain from them. But lots of different ways to lunge, walking lunges, a stationary lunge called a split squat, reverse lunge, forward lunge. But a really basic one that is always going to be effective is just a reverse lunge, where that means you step backwards, you lunge down, bang, back up. And we're trying not to tip forward too much, which is a problem. Keep your chest pretty tall, bang, back up, right? So a lunge is always going to be an effective move for the glute, for the hamstring. So long as your knees and joints are all right, it's always going to be a pick, and there's lots of lunges in here. Onto the upper body now. We've got the push. All sorts of ways to push. As I get into future videos, I'm going to show, we want to push horizontally, like a push-up or like bench press movement, but we also want to do some sort of pressing that's vertical, that's overhead. You want to press in different directions throughout the week, which is part of balanced proper programming. You want to get strong both ways. But yeah, as some examples, right, push-ups, bench press, dumbbell press, flat, incline. Then we get into the overhead press if we're in kind of an upright or standing position, pressing overhead. All great movements. One thing I would say with the push is people generally want to do it too often, right? Shoulder issues are one of the number one things in this game. I would say shoulder and backs that act up. And a lot of times, especially dudes, is because they just want this massive chest for whatever reason. And they're benching too much weight or poor form or too frequently or too often, or they're, just too much pressing. And we actually don't need that much. There needs to be some, but not that much, right? So definitely we got some pressing in the program, but we don't abuse it. Actually, what you want to do a lot is the next pattern, the pull. Oh, the pull, right? A lot of people, they just can't get excited about the pulling stuff. I don't know if it's like we can't really see our back or whatever, but I'm telling you, a strong back is an amazing thing that you are going to want. Now, I don't care if you want to look good. I don't care if you want to improve your posture. There's so many different reasons that you could have. Having a strong back is going to do all of them for you. You're going to check all the boxes, okay? So again, with pulling, it's like pushing. We need to do some sort of horizontal pull, which is like, like a bent over row, or with dumbbells, barbell, whatever you want, right? You've seen that move on the bench, like a one-arm row with the dumbbell. All those are great. And then we want some sort of vertical, which is generally like a chin-up or a pull-up, which can be done on the TRX for assistance. As again, the chin-up is another move that, in my experiences, when people come in here, they generally aren't capable of doing one. And it takes a lot of work for a long time, not just at chin-ups, but having a healthy relative body weight to be able to do them well. But the pulling, in my mind, there's no such thing as too much upper back work, right? It's really hard to do too much pulling. Also, another good upper back one is like a bent over fly going out to the side. Got to use lighter weight for that one. I'm programming this stuff as frequently as I can, really, so that we're hitting these patterns about 3 times a week, probably, if someone's going to show up consistently at the Armory. Whereas a pressing pattern, they're not going to get that often. Lunging, they're not going to get that often. Nothing else, actually, they're going to get as often as a pull. It can be mine and yours secret. On Saturday, our class is called Core, and we definitely do some core work in there, the abdominals and low back, obliques are going to feel it. But really, my whole goal for that class is to fit in more upper back work, is how I program it. But it just isn't quite as sexy to say, come to upper back day at the Armory. Everyone's like, upper back day? Who cares about upper back, man? Give me some core. So, okay. It's core. But that can be our secret, okay? Don't tell my members. But then the last one that you want to fit in at least once a week is some form of carry. Again, there's lots of different ways, but this is very basic. You can use kettlebells, dumbbells, barbells. There's even special handles that I have in here for carries that are pretty nice, pretty funky to play with. But really, a farmer's carry is you pick up 2 moderately heavy for you dumbbells or kettlebells. You make sure you're not hunching or leaning back, and you just hold on to them and you go for a walk. You would want to strive for 100 to 150 feet maybe total, so you do need some space to be able to do this. But I have seen people, hold and march on a spot. I don't know a whole lot about that because we have space in the armory, so we're always moving. But this is an often forgotten part that people just don't do, but it's really important actually. Core strength, grip strength, and not always loading yourself in positions where you're locked in, both feet are always on the floor, and that's all great, but you need some stuff where you are moving with weight as well, because it's if you want to use the word functional or whatever it is, but it does transfer very nicely to the real world, for everything from carrying your groceries or hauling your kids around or different stuff like that, and can protect you from injury and just help you have that strength for day-to-day life. So that is my long form video here on the Big Six. If you're still with me until the end, I hope that gives you something to think about for whether you're doing your own program and your own workouts, just looking for some direction. And this is really what I filter all the programming through in the Armory, is making sure we're hitting these in the right frequency. And obviously I'm going to bring you more information on proper form, which exercises you can use in the videos to come. But hopefully this gives us a start. We'll see you next time.